All right, welcome back to episode 54 of the Burg Boys Podcast. My name is Mike Lennon.
Hey, Mike.
Fortunate enough to be with Jeremy Greenwood, Mr. Jokester tonight, Chris Rosholt, and Matt Lennon. Let's start with Jeremy for making that comment. Jeremy, how was your weekend, buddy?
It was all right. Yeah, I feel a little bad. I just kind of joined the group here, and I didn't even get to say hi to Troy yet. But hey, Troy, I know you're hearing me back there, but no, it was all right. It was an all right weekend. I felt a little bad today, though. My niece Hazel had her birthday party, and she had like 14 friends over, and it's just kind of a madhouse there. So I guess I feel bad, but I don't at the same time. But I didn't make it to the end of it. But so this weekend was Ice Wars in the Dells. I remember us talking about this last year on the podcast. It's nuts that I can remember sharing it, but it's basically what the Dells do is the Dells Ice Rink does is they kind of honor each branch of the military.
Man, that was last year, or year already?
1 year, one exact year.
Man, wow.
And so, yeah, we did that again, and I was Team Air Force Pee Wee level, which is like middle school, and got second place. So
you got to get over that hump, Jay Green.
Yeah,
That's two second places now.
When does Blue Devil start up?
So not this weekend because it's Easter, but then next weekend we're in Hudson area.
Nice.
Hudson Maple Grove area, and so just a lot of hockey here until the end of May for me, and then I don't know. I'm not doing Pirates this year. Retired. We had that sad episode earlier, but
your retirement announcement.
Yeah, that was official. Don's still begging me to come out of retirement, but
are you gonna pull a Tom Brady?
Is Don still coaching?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Don will be there forever.
Yeah, I think all three of his boys are playing this year, right, Jay Green?
Well, Bo's a sophomore. I don't know that he'll play, but he always comes to the games and suits up, and he likes to be. They're baseball guys.
That's got to be cool for him though to be able to coach all three of them.
It is. It's really cool for Jody too, and so decent weekend.
Matt, how about yourself? You just got back from a little fine dining and
so this week or last weekend, I was actually down for a funeral in Madison, and then we actually visited Sarah's sister Larissa's new house they bought in Broadhead, small little town down there. This weekend, during the week. I'll rewind a little bit. Monday, I got hit with a little bug virus, stomach bug virus, and knocked me out for about. I thought it was food poisoning, but Rosh, like we said before, was right. It was just 24 hours and literally completely normal.
Back in the saddle the next day, huh?
Literally, it from Monday 3:00 to Tuesday 3:00, just awful, and then it was like just a light switch, and then I gave it to my wife Sarah, so she hit the 24 hours too, and then this weekend we actually had a baby shower yesterday, which would be my first baby shower that I've ever been to, and then we just got back from going out to eat to the Freight House, if anyone.
What'd you have? Yeah,
it's a little steak and asparagus.
Okay.
Chris?
Yeah, it's been actually very eventful the last couple of weekends. Last weekend we went to the Mountain House up in Cordillera, spent the weekend there, so that was relaxing getting up there, and they had snow up there still, but it was like 60 degrees, so it was kind of cool that they had 3 feet of snow, but it wasn't miserably cold or anything, so it was beautiful up there, sitting in their outdoor hot tub and things like that. And this week was kind of crazy. Kids are, it's weird. Kids are pushing the buttons right now. So I don't know if it's they're already looking forward to the end of the year or what, but they're getting a little antsy. So we had to put the reins on this week a little bit. And then unfortunately we got SAT testing this next week. So we have normal school Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday. Only the juniors come from 7:45 till 1:00 to do their SAT testing. then everyone has to come back for periods 1 and 2. And period 1 starts at like 1:15 to 2:15, and then period 2 goes from 2:15 to 3:15. And then Thursday, same thing, but it's 10th graders take the PSAT, which is just like a practice SAT, but same thing. You know, they take it in the morning. No one else has to come to school but sophomores. And then there's like 3 hours after that. And then same thing Friday with freshmen. So it's a little goofy week, but this weekend was actually pretty fun. We went to Great Wolf Lodge, same company as the one in the Dells, has one in Colorado Springs. And so my mother-in-law, that was her birthday present to Cash. It was to book a night at the hotel down there. So we went down there, and Cash got to do the water park and indoor mini golf and bowling and arcade and all that stuff. So that was fun. And then last night I was out of my element to the extreme, but it was a lot of fun. I went to it was called an engagement party. These two people that my wife knows pretty well, they're getting married, but they're getting married in Italy. And so this was kind of like their in the States party, I guess, to celebrate their marriage. But it was at an Italian restaurant, you know, which was super fancy, waiters coming around bringing drinks and appetizers. And I mean, you didn't have to get up. They just came to you, grabbed your old drink, gave you a new one. Like it was crazy. But the amount of money in there, I was the poorest person in that place, guaranteed. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You know, people, like I mentioned before, one lady, you know, I actually went over with my brother-in-law to house sit once, and when we were playing with the dog, we looked on the counter and she had a $3 million check just chilling there. So that gives you kind of an idea of the people that were there. But it was fun though, because they were actually pretty good to talk to, and ended up finding this dude that his uncle owned the Nedgerbos in Madison. So that was kind of ironic that I met the one dude from Wisconsin in the entire place, but it was good. It was a lot of fun, and got to meet a bunch of people that I normally would never have ever met under normal circumstances. You know, and as they're all getting in their Mercedes, Bentleys, and Teslas, I cruised out of there with my Rust Bucket F-150, and it was a good time. So that today, honestly, it was a long weekend with driving down to Colorado Springs and back, and downtown Denver and back. And so in the words of Cash, we had a home day today. So we just chilled at home. I did make it to the gym, so I was proud of myself for that, but that's all I've done so far. Otherwise, I've been rocking my man slippers and just chilling all day.
Nice. My man slippers.
How about you? How about you, Mike?
Pretty low-key weekend. We had a big recruit on Friday who visited campus, a young man from British Columbia who ended up committing, which we're very happy about.
Okay. Yeah.
Defenseman. So big, tough young man, which we're happy to have. Then yesterday, honestly, we didn't do too much yesterday. Kind of just hung around the house. Pretty low, relaxing weekend. Actually had a little campfire in the back. We still have a bunch of snow on the ground here in Ashland. So kids were playing outside a little bit. And then, yeah, again, today we didn't do too much. We were outside a bunch today just because it's finally starting to get a little nicer. Watched a little bit of the Masters, which we'll touch on, and that's about it. So, without further ado, we're gonna bring him on here.
Yep.
We are happy to have Troy Matz on, and to pump his own tire. If you've been around Reedsburg sports, he's certainly a pillar regarding Reedsburg.
He's the GOAT.
He is. We're very happy to have Troy on. So, Troy, how you doing?
You guys got to pump your brakes with that.
Come on, humble being.
We're really happy to have you on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
So I guess just right, you know, for anybody that might not know you, Troy, just give us a little background of kind of what you do. You know, how many years you've been doing it, et cetera.
Well, I grew up in Middleton, next to Madison, and my first full-time job was at WRDB, and that was in the fall of '86, and I was there until February 2002. No, wait, 2008. I'm sorry, 2008. And then I bounced around to the Boston radio station and the Baraboo radio station in between. And since 2017, I've been back in Reedsburg with the newspaper. I was the overall editor for a year and a half, and now I'm just doing the sports, and happy to be back in the Burg. I kind of missed those years where I wasn't, covering and following the Beavers as close as I was before.
Yeah. And talk about that a little bit. So how many years have you been at the paper now, you said?
2017, March 2017, I started. So about 5 years.
How's that transition been for you? Do you like doing that?
Yeah, at first I missed the radio stuff, but as time has gone on, I kind of like the newspaper thing a little more. It's a little more laid back, and I don't know. I think I like it. I mean, I kind of always did some writing before anyway, just maybe not as much as it was now, but it's good. I enjoy it.
So here's a question, Troy. I didn't fill you in on this before. It wasn't on the list.
Off script, Jeremy.
Yeah. Off script. What made you want to be a radio voice initially, and then also, what would you recommend to somebody who maybe wants to get into that kind of field?
Well, part one of that question, I was like narrating plays when I was in kindergarten. So I knew right away. I was one of the lucky people that knew from like age 5 what I wanted to do. So I consider myself lucky that way. I didn't really consider radio ever a job. It was something I liked doing. Okay. And I got paid for it, so you can't beat that. Watching sports for a living, talking about sports for a living, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
As far as advice, I don't know. It's the world of radio is changing pretty rapidly. There's a lot of automation now, and I think there's less and less, hands-on, people that are, when you tune into a radio station now and you hear a voice, it's a very good chance that person is not sitting there live. They're in another city, or they've recorded it, hours in advance or even a day in advance what you're hearing, and so it's kind of a tough nut to crack these days as far as people wanting to get into broadcasting. I think jobs are less than there used to be. Let's put it that way.
Sure, and I mean that makes complete sense. But I remember specifically, just going way off here, like we work at MacArthur Towels in Baraboo for Neil, and just Chris, Mike, and I know Matt, you worked on the golf course and you probably had headphones in all the time. Yep. We'd hear your voice come on every day, and it was just like it just became like as you said, the voice of the Beavers.
Well, and that not only that too, but like even like you think back to like when we were like younger, like tuning in to listen to the if we weren't at the game, we were listening to it on the radio, like at Beaver football or whatever type of game. So that's kind of leads on, and this might be a loaded question for you, but do you have like a particular? I mean, you followed hundreds of teams now, probably. Does any team or season really stick out from your time?
Well, it's going to sound like recency bias, but probably these last 2 seasons with the girls' basketball team.
Okay,
that's
fair.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, they were so fun to watch, and I looked forward to those games probably more than just about any team that I covered or broadcasted, and it just was so disappointing how it ended this year. But it was just such an awesome group. They hung out together. Their full team would hang out before games, after games, on the weekends, all of them. I mean, you just don't get that.
No.
Yeah. And even the parents of all the players would hang out together after games and stuff. And it's just, and I remember Brian Bester telling me about that, and he said, Troy, the parents don't hang out because they have to. They hang out because they want to. So that just tells you, just the closeness and the bond that they had, and such an entertaining group. They're all good students. They're all nice girls, and it's just it was so fun to watch them.
We talked
many great teams, but that maybe they might stick out a little bit more.
Yeah, and we talked about that too a little bit on a previous podcast, just, if you think back to, for like whatever, if we were on a good team, like typically like guys are all really close together. They're hanging out all the time. So, and we've heard that from multiple people too, which is really, really awesome. And we're hopefully going to get Coach Simon. We had him on about last year.
About a year now.
About a year ago, yeah.
We're hopefully going to get him back on as well. But I guess kind of going off of that too, Troy, is like, is there any game that really sticks out? Like, I mean, man, it's got to be like, I had a little cup of tea doing lumberjack and lumberjill athletics here at Northland. I called a few soccer games and baseball, but is there any games that really just stick out that you can remember that was like, wow, that was one heck of a game?
Yeah, you kind of gave me that question earlier today, and I've been thinking about it. I don't know if there is one that really stands out. I think more of like seasons or maybe individuals.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think. There's nothing that really stands out all that much. There are a lot of them. I do remember a football game at Webb when Chris's father, God rest his soul, dove into the mud after the game with all the players.
Nice.
That was classic. If you remember, they had the one sideline by the press box was, well, actually both of them were when it rained, but it was all mud.
Yeah.
And at the end of the game, the players would always take a running start and dive through the mud. And they finally convinced Paul Rosholt to do that one time. So that was that might stick out over any athletic achievement.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. Jeremy, you had a question?
Yeah, I was just you had mentioned players or athletes, student athletes, and was wondering kind of where your mind was going with that specifically.
Clayton Hansen, 2001 graduate, Beaver Boys Hoops. I mean, I didn't see a lot of the earlier players, but I have to believe he's the best boys basketball player who's ever produced. Went on to play at, eventually at Wisconsin and was a contributor for a team that made the Elite Eight. Katie Weber graduated in 2005, girls basketball. I mean, I know there's been some records set these last couple of years with the girls, but as far as an individual player, I think she would probably be at the top of my list too. She could do everything.
Yeah.
And just, those two kind of come to mind, but there have been so many. I mean, one neat thing since I've been in Reedsburg is the Athletic Hall of Fame. And so since I'm in the athletic club, it's kind of neat to be a part of that. And the first inductees were in 1991. And so that's kind of neat. You learn about some athletes from past years, long before I was in town that were, exceptional and standout performers. And it's been kind of fun to do the research and vote for those individuals. And so that's kind of given me a little broader perspective on like the history of some of the top Beaver athletes.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just going to talk. You're talking about players you've had to have met and just gotten to know some great coaches over the years as well.
That's where I was going.
Any good relate? I mean, any?
I'll go right
down. That you really enjoyed your time with?
I'll go right down the list because there's a list of coaches that are also in the Athletic Hall of Fame. So I'll just run them down. You probably know all of them, or at least know of all of them. Doc Kohler, no brainer. Betsy DeMerit, no brainer. Bill Moran, Jerry Griffin, Nick Holmes, Gary Lemire. Beaver softball they were king for a while. Donna Stevens took the Beavers gymnastics team to multiple meets.
Yep.
Joe Ketter, Paul Rosholt, the aforementioned. Dennis Schomer, and then this past year, Clarence Lee was an assistant wrestling coach for years and was instrumental in keeping the program going. And he came back. I think he's in his 90s. He came back this year for a wrestling match and a Hall of Fame induction that same night, and he was so excited.
That's so cool.
Now he's planning on coming back next year for Beaver wrestling meets, and he's hooked. So that's the kind of stuff that just it makes you feel good. But some of the people I worked with on the radio too, I wrote some of them. Roger Popple, and Steve Bauer
Okay.
did football games with me for years.
Yeah.
Great memories. I enjoyed the away games more than the home games because then I'd get to hear them tell stories. to and from the game, that was better than the game itself most of the time.
Sure. Yeah.
And then Bill Moran and Bill Klang did a lot of basketball games with me. So I was blessed to have a lot of great broadcast partners that made me sound better, and I think made the broadcast a little more fun, and their knowledge was, incredible. Those guys knew everything about everything in their sport. So
just a random question. This wasn't, but like, how was like the production of it had to have been a lot different from when you started to when, like, to what it is now, right? Like, it's got to be.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
Like, can you explain that?
Well, it's just, it was always a hard phone line. Obviously, when I started, 86, there's no cell phones. So you had to either install your own phone line at a school, or if you had one at a visiting school, pray to God that it still worked and still ran and was still running. And there's some times where it didn't. So that was a problem. And, you always had to have a person at the station, obviously, to get you on and off the air and play the commercials. And that doesn't need to be done anymore. A lot of these games are done now. It's all remote on the computer. They can control the station from where they're at, sign on, sign off, play all the commercials. So you don't need to have anybody back at the station. And just, now it's all cell phone or internet or computer. So yeah, it's a lot different. Would have been a lot more fun back in the day if I'd had all those gadgets and gizmos. It would have been pretty fun. Didn't have to worry about, geez, I hope we're on the air tonight. I hope nothing goes wrong.
Yeah,
That's pretty
true.
much not a concern anymore. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
I gotta say, I want to go back to the wrestling piece there. And I sent the boys here a picture of the new wrestling room upstairs. I'm sure you've seen it too, Troy.
Yep, unbelievable.
Just fantastic what that's done, what that looks like, and all that those championships honor those wrestlers by having their names up there, and Big Mike Lennon's up there, and it's just really cool. And we saw a picture of Mike, Big Mike, and all the alumni for their alumni weekend or match, and it was just
that was that same night.
It was okay.
It all kind of came together on one super night. It really was cool.
Yeah, and I think wrestling kind of got a little bit overshadowed this winter season because of the girls basketball. But man, they've been a pretty successful program there in Reedsburg, and I know Coach Bouch has done a great job with some individuals and as a team, and I just kind of wanted to put that out there too, that it's really cool what they got going on at the school with honoring.
Last year, a regional team championship, that hadn't been done since the 80s when they won the state championships. And then this year, this year a conference championship outright in the new Badger West, and that hadn't been done since the early 80s also.
Yeah, so just a lot of records, or not records, but history.
Making history right now.
Yeah.
And, they had a lot of injuries last year, and they still performed well, and had some guys out this year, and they're still performing well. Yeah, they're doing an excellent job.
Yeah. Do you have anything else there, Mike? If not, I got another question here.
No, go ahead.
Troy, okay. What do you think? What do you think about all this Aaron Rodgers stuff? What
exactly?
The drama, do you think the way he went about his stuff, do you like the guy? Do you, all that, everything?
Is he a great quarterback? Absolutely. Do I like him? Not especially. Not as much as number 4, for example.
Okay.
There he is.
And I know it wasn't a scripted question, Troy, but it's also just one of those
I thought that might come up.
It's also like something that we've spent many episodes talking about, and I think it's fair to ask a big sports guy such as yourself, kind of how you perceive the guy now after maybe perceiving him the way you did 2, 3, 4 years ago.
I would have liked to seen him maybe do the Tom Brady thing. I don't like Tom Brady either, but one thing I do like about him is how much money he's left on the table to allow his teams to get better around him. And this would have been a year that really would have been pretty nice for him to do that, because they had, limited money and so many good players that they wanted to bring back. And if he'd have, taken maybe $10 million less per year than he did or something like that, they might have been able to improve the roster around him. That's one thing that I'm
for sure
a little bit upset with, but tremendous talent, obviously. I mean, but I like, he's kind of the egotistical thing. I'm not a big fan. And I think he likes the attention. Like, what's he every week? ESPN, what's he going to do? Where's he going? I think
it got ridiculous.
I think he loves every minute of it.
Yeah. That was also just me assuming that you follow the Packers, I guess. Okay.
Troy's a big Brewer fan too. What do you think about the Brewers start so far this year?
Well, today was important to get a win, but they'll be fine. They're fine. Okay. There's a guy that I'm kind of friends with that just rips on him all the time, and I just really don't understand that. He wants the owner to sell, and he wants the GM gone and the manager gone, and I'm thinking, really?
They've been doing so well lately.
They've been in the playoffs 4 straight years.
Yeah. So what more can you ask for a small market?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Does he want to go back to the years before that when they lost, 90 to 100 games every year? I don't.
Me either. Yeah.
Well, they're in a pretty good spot right now. I think there's about 26 teams I would like to have counsel as the manager, and about that many teams that wouldn't mind having David Stearns as their GM. So
correct.
I don't see the problem. They're at least in the mix, every year now, and that's all I can ask for a market this size, especially.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, does anybody other questions for Troy, guys? This has been awesome, and we're gonna maybe have to get you back on, Troy, later down. And
sure.
I think for sure, like just you talked about Mr. Bauer, like that was a guy I totally forgot about doing football games with. I think if anybody that has been around Reedsburg sports have heard your voice on the radio, and just a huge figure for Reedsburg in general. So we really appreciate you coming on today.
Oh, loved it. Yeah. Keep up the good work, guys.
Thank you, Troy.
Thanks, Troy. Thank you, Troy.
Yep. Take care.
All right.
I mean,
that was awesome.
That
was like, you hear, and I haven't seen Troy in forever, but like you hear his voice, and it's like, man, you think back, like sitting in the car with your parents, like driving around, like you have him, and then like we talk about Mr. Bauer, like those two together were unreal.
Yeah.
For calling football games. Like I remember like just listening to him when you're this high. You know what I mean?
What a nice guy. Just what a nice guy.
It's funny because we always talk about hockey rink smells. You know what I'm saying? Like, remember we talked about that in the podcast. We're like, when you go into a rink, you know what rink it is by the smell. Troy Matz's voice, when you hear it, it's Beaver Sports. Like there's as soon as you hear, he could be talking about the culinary arts, and you would think Beaver Sports. Like it's amazing. And like whenever he just talks and having a conversation with them, and I go back to my mother, and she's probably listening right now, and I'll get a text message soon, but she was never on time to anything when I was growing up. And so my dad's coaching in the game. My brother's playing in the game, and me and mom are sitting in traffic trying to get into the parking lot, and the game started. And I just remember she would have Troy Matz on the radio for the pregame, and then once the game would start, we would be listening to it in the radio as we're getting out, and going under the, because Webb Field always had that fog, that always was over the field, and you just hear his voice. And it's cool because I can clearly remember, the most, or when I first like heard his voice, or first really thought about it, and now I can go back to those moments all the time. But it's the things he's seen, the games he's called. One question that I just thought of now, and I wish I would have asked it, was I wonder how many father-son, father-daughter, mother-daughter
that he's covered.
That he's covered. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he could have called a game for somebody that played in the 90s, like my brother, But now my brother's kids are in high school, so he could have been writing articles on them right now, if they went to Reedsburg. And so I wonder how many, father-son, father-daughter, mother-son, mother-daughter combinations he's seen in his time with Reedsburg Athletics. And that's got to be cool for him to be like, yeah, I called the radio game where your mom broke the record for the amount of kills in a volleyball game, and now you just set the record for digs. Like it'd just be cool for him to, be able to experience those moments too.
The other thing I was going to say too is you get when you're in the newspaper, when you're in the media, when you're in the radio, you got to be like detail oriented, right? You got to make sure you do things the right way,
and you have to be unbiased too, which is hard. That's hard. That's hard.
He's perfect at it.
Yeah.
And I say that because really, I've really got to know him a little better lately, just because helping through Pirates, and he's there all the time, and he wants the lineups. He needs to make sure he gets the lineups. It's not a matter of I never took offense to it, but he needed it. Like, I need it now, and like because it meant something to him. It was important to him to get it right.
Exactly.
And I just can really appreciate what Troy brings to the Reedsburg community and
100%.
always has.
Oh yeah.
Well, and not only that too. I what I thought was really cool was just like the coaches he named off.
Oh yeah.
I mean, for us, like obviously Coach Schomer was one of them all four of us had in baseball, who was one of the the all-time winningest coach in Reedsburg baseball.
Yeah,
for him or Doc. Yeah,
and we all had Griffin as a PE teacher. And I got to see him coach because my dad coached with him and brother played for him. So hearing that name too it's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Chris, did you ever hear about that story of your dad sliding in the mud?
Oh yeah, my mom's got a picture of it.
Yeah. Okay.
It made the paper. It's pretty sweet. There's a picture of him, and I'll bring it to the draft if I can to show you.
Yeah,
guys.
that's
It's
cool.
hilarious.
That's
it's
cool.
really cool.
Well, that's a good leeway into our next topic. We have the draft coming up.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
Our draft guru, Mr. Rosholt, has been I would say a little less tense this year of setting up mock drafts.
I would agree.
That's because you guys rip on me too much. It's finally starting to stick.
Hey, we rip on you, but we love it at the same time. Okay, but again, we're still a few weeks out, so maybe
still a couple weeks out.
Well, if you guys ask for it, I'll ramp it up. There's no problem about that.
So the Packers draft 22nd, 28,
22nd and 28. Yep.
I don't know. I guess
right now.
Right now,
yeah.
There's obviously a need at wide receiver. I'm not getting my hopes up at all because I'm just not. But what do you guys? What do you guys think or is there a certain guy that we're gonna hopefully target or get?
I think personally, one, I honestly
move up.
I honestly believe Rodgers is going to have a say in it. I'm assuming he has a receiver or two that he really likes, and they're going to target one of those two. And I'm not saying it's going to be with a first round pick. He might really love a dude that's projected late second round, and they use one of their second round picks on him. So I think if they want to make the fan base happy, what I would do based on depth, there's going to be some quality receivers at the end of the first round. That Burks from Arkansas, Olav could, Williams could because of his ACL. That Doxson from Penn State is a dude. I mean, so there's going to be options there if they want to go that route. But if I was them, or what I think would be best is going wide receiver O-line with the first two picks. There's a lot of really good offensive tackles and guards in this year's draft too. It's a really deep class. But there's dudes that would normally go probably in the top 15 that will probably be available at 22 and 28 because of just the depth of other positions that are going to go ahead of us, and teams are going to want quarterbacks and all that stuff. But I think wide receiver O-line, not necessarily in that order, but those two picks is what I think. But I could also see him going a variety of different routes because this year is a weird year, and this is probably why I'm not been going so crazy with the mocks is because honestly, the only two positions that they could draft that would make me personally angry would just be quarterback or running back.
Yeah.
But like other than that, like seriously, if they draft a safety, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. They draft a corner, okay, that makes sense. They draft a linebacker, that makes sense.
Kind of corner.
Yeah, but Alexander, who knows?
Yeah.
He's in the last year of his contract.
You're
You know
right.
what you're saying, Raj.
You have Stokes, who is only in year 2. You don't know. Josh Jackson played in year 1. How'd that turn out?
Oof.
You know, Kevin
What you're
King
saying is
played
we need
year
a
1.
punter.
So yeah. So you know,
That's
basically
true.
any
We
position,
do, actually.
either we could use more depth because you never can predict injuries. You can never predict what happens in year 2 or 3. Like Rasul Douglas was an absolute animal, but that was his first true year of playing, and he was 27 years old. So why wasn't he a true animal the previous 5 years that he was in the NFL? You know what I'm saying? So like, could that have been his breakout and he's going to become an all-pro for us? Let's hope. But was it one of those he balled out and then he's going to fade away type of deals, you know, like the Brewers seem to find on their baseball team all the time. They get those 1-year wonders a lot. But so like, I honestly don't care what position they go to, except for quarterback and running back are the 2 positions where it's like, what are you doing? Yeah. So that's kind of why I've been a little bit more chill, because whatever they do, it's like, it's going to help us. But what I want, wide receiver and O-line personally.
Jeremy, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I'm going to get my hopes up. I'm thinking this has got to be the year of wide receiver. I mean, you look at our wide receivers right now, it's Lazard, Cobb, Amari Rogers. I mean, that's got to be top 3 worst in the NFL.
It's
right
got to be
there.
the worst.
If not the worst. Yeah. Like they have to get, I mean, we all
Or they could be making some trades here.
Yeah,
on draft day
that too.
We never know.
I mean, we've talked about it. I think you guys are on the same. Like Chris Olave is just the guy I want. Will he be there? Who knows? I'm kind of hoping that there's just a run of a different position at the start of the draft where teams are like, oh, maybe we should take, reach to get this guy. So then wide receivers just keep falling to us. But I mean, we'll see. We never know what happens on draft night. It seems the Packers seem to surprise us every year. So, I mean,
and what'd you say the last podcast? They've moved. You and Mike both said.
Oh yeah,
they've moved up every year. Goot's been here, right?
Yeah,
we've moved up in the draft. So,
yeah,
you're stealing my thunder, and so is Dean. That's where I'm going with it. We're gonna make a splash, a big one.
Okay,
we're gonna trade up. We're gonna trade up one of the picks. We're gonna keep one of the other ones, and we're gonna draft 2 wide receivers.
Okay. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, Olave.
Hopefully, Olave is our guy. Like,
is that how you say it? By the way,
yeah,
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
We probably should figure that out.
Yeah, because I don't know how to say half these names. I just see them and I'm doing all my research, but I don't know how to say them all.
Yes, we're gonna get our hopes up. Like, I know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But at the same time, this is one of the most fun days for us. Outside of the fact we get to hang out and just.
Yep. Tickets booked. Booked. I'll be back for sure.
Eat like garbage.
Do you guys think so? This was something that pissed me off. That I listened to a lot of NFL XM radio or whatever, but there was this guy they were talking about should they trade Jordan Love, and
yeah,
there was a guy that came on. He's like they would be shocked if the Packers got a 7th round draft pick for Jordan Love, and I'm thinking I'm like not only is that complete bull, but like he's younger than who's the number
Higgins.
1 rated. He's younger than him right now. He's obviously going into his 3rd year, but do you guys think that maybe Jordan Love's on the trade bait action here?
I've thought about that too. I personally think 2nd, 3rd rounder is realistic.
I thought I heard 2nd round for
because you just look at these quarterback trades. I mean, shoot, they're giving 1st rounders out for Carson Wentz like they're candy. And Carson Wentz has proven, I get that, and he's played in a Super Bowl, yada yada yada. But like, I personally think that whether the Packers trade him or not is going to be completely dependent on if the Packers truly believe he's the next. Yeah. If he's the next, they're not going to trade him for anything. But if they're not sure or they have any doubt in their mind, I think he could potentially get traded. But I think with Rodgers' goofy contract where he can opt out after every season if he wants to, I think that that keeps the Packers' hands tied where they kind of have to keep Love because what if Rodgers leaves after 2022 or what if he leaves after 2023 or what if he leaves, that way they have that insurance policy. No, I agree, Jay Green. That dude's fun to listen or follow on Twitter too.
Yeah. He backs up his guys like
crazy. Yeah.
But it all depends on what the Packers brass truly think about Jordan Love. If they love him, they're going to keep him, and I think they should. But if they don't love him, in my opinion, with all these quarterback needy teams still, who's going to be under center for the Falcons?
Well, they're probably going to draft.
Good question.
But Marcus Mariota.
But the mock draft, because the Falcons pick towards the top of the draft, don't they?
Yeah.
And every mock I've seen, none of them have them picking a quarterback because there's no quarterbacks worthy of a top 5 pick this year.
Yeah, I think that's why this year's kind of weird because you don't have those. I mean, and the last couple of years, it's been like 4 or 5 QBs that we're probably going to go in the top 20 for sure.
Well, like next year's a really good QB class, right?
Yeah, next year's it's going to be way better than this year's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, this year is brutal. Yeah. I mean, I one dude on CBS Sports who. He's pretty good. I followed his stuff the last couple of years. He doesn't have a single first-round grade on a quarterback this year. But he's not dumb. He's like, there'll be 4 of them that will probably get drafted, possibly 5. But he said, I personally don't have a first-round grade on any of them. And it's just crazy that 4 or 5 are going to go when this dude doesn't even evaluate one.
Which is crazy. Rounder. That's crazy to think.
Yeah, it is.
But we want quarterbacks to go because that means the better players are sliding down for us. So we want to run at let's say all the quarterbacks, punters, and kickers get taken in before the 22nd pick. We'll be golden.
Yeah,
maybe a couple long snappers too.
We probably are gonna. I mean, I think we would draft. What do we? Oh no, we picked up a punter. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe we draft one late. But
this could be the year though that we draft a kicker late.
Yeah, I can see that too.
To compete with Crosby and potentially beat him out, or just at least to get him some competition.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because we have 2 or 3 like 7-round picks too. I think.
Maybe take for sure too. Yeah.
Okay. Opening day baseball happened a few days ago. Opening weekend for the Brewers. 1-2 starts. The Brewers right now.
Yep.
I'm not doing very good to start. I knew I told you guys that I was gonna try watching some more Brewers baseball. Haven't watched a lick of it yet. So, did you guys watch the games?
I watched every game besides yesterday's.
Same.
And I mean, it's a long season. You can already see the Twitter and people already gunning for Council's job, and it's like Jesus. Like it's 3 games in, but I will say one thing: Yelich has looked okay.
They're gonna need him to step it back up to where he was doing.
And man, I mean, obviously, like I just told myself, that it's this one weekend, but Andrew McCutchen is playing very well. So that could be a huge pickup. We'll see.
Which I think we said he would last podcast that we were on. We thought he would. We thought he'd do pretty well for the Brewers.
I think they're going to do okay. I know. I ruffled Matt's feathers a little bit by getting a little angry with them the first couple innings of that opening day, but that was just because I was watching the game during my homeroom class. I had it up on the projector for all my kids to watch during study hall. But I think offensively, I think they're going to be fine. And the reason I think that is, again, we don't have a ton of big names, but we have a bunch of quality players. But what I like about this year's roster is, to me, it feels deep. We have Yelich and we have a couple other stars, but then we just have a bunch of good players. So my thought process is, we have 5 outfielders right now. So if one's not hitting, you put another one in. He's not hitting, you put another one in. So I think the flexibility that we're going to have, especially with the DH now, to play the hot hand or to play matchups, righty versus lefty, lefty versus, all that stuff, I think favors the Brewers big time this year. I think their pitching staff will be fine, and it helps that, let's be honest, the NL Central appears to be horrible this year.
I think the Cardinals will be.
Cardinals are going to be okay, but I mean, Cincy had a run there a couple years ago, and they pretty much everyone's gone. Pirates are bad. Cubs are, I mean, there's nothing to them really, to be honest. So it's a good year for us to win the Central again, but it's a long season. Health is going to be a big factor, especially with the pitching staff. So
yeah, at least for us, like the Brewers. I mean, if you can get a lead to the 8th inning, and you got Devin Williams and then Hader coming in, like good luck.
Yeah.
And big games, you really only need to get to the 7th because those two could take the last 3 innings if they need
to. Jeremy put in here that he wanted. Is it T plus story? Where we talking?
Yeah, tell me about your T plus story. Tell our listeners about your T plus story, and don't act like you don't know it, Mike.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
No, you do know what I'm talking about.
Who is T Plush?
Tony Plush. Niger Morgan.
Oh, Niger Morgan. Yeah, we had a little beef back in the day on Twitter. We'll just leave it at that. Oh,
come on, pop up there.
Yeah, there it is. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I don't even know what it says. I don't have those. I'm blocked on Twitter, so I don't know.
I'll read it. I only screenshotted like
his replies back.
No, Niger Morgan's an outfielder.
So
was an outfielder.
I don't know what Mike said originally, but this is what Morgan said. At Mike Lennon 18, another hater trying to get noticed. Chump couldn't hold his head up high, so now you hate. LOL. Then Mike must have responded, and at the time, Mike had a profile picture of him with a cage on his helmet. And Morgan replied, "I never played hockey with a bird cage, so I guess you're scared of contact."
And then he got blocked.
And then he got blocked. Well, and I screenshotted that so I could never let it down.
Yeah, this was many years ago. So Niger, if you're tuning in, I'd love to follow you on Twitter again if possible. So kind of last couple of topics here we're running up against on the time thing. And real quickly, thanks to everybody for tuning in on the Reedsburg Cable Channel 11. Appreciate David getting us back up this week. Masters.
Snooze fest.
Yeah, it was a snooze fest. Scotty Scheffler kind of ran away with it today. He's actually the number one. He's the number one golfer in the world right now. And there was like a bunch of going into this weekend. They were saying how rare it is for the number one golfer in the world to win it. And Rosh was actually in a little golf pool and stuff like that, and who had the first pick, who obviously didn't take Scotty, but kind of a snooze fest. The biggest thing for me that it's obviously huge to see Tiger Woods back. Especially day one, I think he was 1 under, and then obviously just with his stamina and his legs. Like, I don't know if you guys watched it at all today, but like he was
hobbling around.
He was hobbling to put just to walk 18 holes. But did you guys watch any of it this weekend? Or
I watched a good amount. Besides the ending, but yeah, it was a snooze fest. I thought. I mean, I think did he lead from Friday on? I believe, or was
Friday
it
on?
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, Mike. I mean, it was great, Tiger to be back. I mean, he is literally the needle for golf. I mean, if he's playing in it, people are gonna watch. If you don't like the guy, you like the guy. I mean, people are gonna tune in no matter what to see Tiger. Either do good or fail. But yeah,
some crazy thing. I actually saw this. So if you hear those birds chirping, those are actually fake sounds that CBS puts in.
Is that true?
I saw that in like 5 different things.
Okay, because I also saw that, but then I read a comment that said that they're for real. I don't know.
I was also reading. So then the other thing was so apparently they have these like giant. I've never obviously been to Augusta before, but apparently around Augusta, it's kind of a like rough area, I guess. I don't know. But they have these like big walls, and there's people have never even seen like a squirrel inside of like the grounds, which I thought was like kind of crazy. And then the other thing too that's kind of messed up. So they put dye in their water to make it look more blue, which I thought was interesting.
Doing that.
Okay,
it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that's there's actually golf courses out here that spray paint their greens because.
Oh yeah, they do. They do all that here too.
Yeah, because we can golf until like December because the weather's nice, but everyone stops watering, so the fairways are brown, and then all of a sudden the greens are nice and green, and you're like, wait a second, this doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you were going somewhere else with the little chirping there, Mike. Because
chirping what?
Just me. I thought you were gonna like. Here's where I was gonna go with it. It's like I think it was boring because Tiger was back, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate.
What?
I know I'm gonna get
crazy, man.
Listen.
How is it boring that he's back?
Do you know how Skip Bayless makes all the money that he makes?
Yeah, with absurd takes.
With some absurd take. And this is an absurd take. Just hear me out. Okay? The guy, they made it all about him. They made it
as it should, Jeremy. He's one of the most historic.
He shot plus 13 or something like that.
Exactly, but he didn't finish dead last. He made the cut.
Why couldn't he have came back last tournament or the next tournament instead of the Masters to make it all about him?
Because he's trying to beat Jack Nicklaus's record.
Well, I hope he doesn't.
And he's probably not going to do any tournaments until the what's the next one? PGA Championship in 1 month now. From now. But that was an awful take. Awful.
I was watching him and hoping he failed.
Wow.
So you're one of those guys that Matt talked about.
We've had this conversation.
Yeah, I think we have. Yeah.
We have, and
refresh my memory.
I think Tiger, the old Tiger, the golfer, he sucks at golf now, but the old golfer was amazing. One of the best athletes of the generation. I think Tiger as a person sucks. I think he's a bad person.
Okay.
Now maybe he's a better person. I don't know. Drunk driving and hanging out with ladies of the evening.
Okay. Well, yeah, I got nothing. I got nothing on that, so I got nothing.
Agree to disagree.
I agree to disagree, and we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
But before we kind of wrap things up here, we'd like to give just a quick shout out. I'm rocking it here again. Golf season's on the horizon. 2T's Golf. It's a company basically owned by two fellas from Reedsburg, Nick Knuth and Cortland Maxfield. They got hats right now. I'm rocking one of them. They have also a white one as well. Check it out. They have a website, 2T's, TWOTEES golf.com. They got some cool stuff, so help support some local Reedsburg guys. But before we wrap anything up here, what do you guys got going on for Easter next weekend?
Well, I guess, it's not overly like the following week, I was just talking with Rosh about this. The following week we do the RWD golf outing. So I should probably go and hit some golf balls, try to hit some golf balls, some good contact. But
I believe I saw the Reedsburg course is open, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Come on.
On the 9th. Yeah. Yesterday was opening day.
Yep.
Yeah, we still have so much snow on the ground here.
But yeah, just do a little Easter egg hunt for the young ones, and just a nice dinner with the family. And how about you guys?
Chris, Matt?
I'm not doing too much for Easter, but the day before Saturday is Cashton's big birthday party out here. So he's got a bunch of friends from preschool he invited, and then some family and some of the football coaches and their little kids are all going to be coming over to our house, and we got this big inflatable obstacle course for the backyard, and we have our trampoline and all that stuff. So it's going to be crazy on Saturday, but we got that Saturday, and then just going to church on Sunday for Easter is pretty much all. And then obviously Cashy will do his little Easter egg hunt and Easter basket. Oh, question for you: did you guys grow up hiding Easter baskets and having to find them?
Yeah,
dude, we did, and. So we do now is the plastic eggs. So
have stuff inside.
Yeah, but back when Matt and I were growing up, it was like we colored eggs like the night before.
Yeah,
and then those were the eggs the Easter Bunny hid. And I do remember one year we did not find an egg, and it smelled bad.
Yeah,
real bad.
Because
Matt remembers that.
Because out here, a lot of my players and stuff said so. Like I grew up and the Easter bunny, like we had an Easter basket and it was hidden somewhere in the house. And so you had to find it. And then inside you had, some goodies or whatever. Out here, they like don't do that. They just get a basket. So like when they come down the stairs in the morning, there's just a basket chilling. And so I just was wondering if my family was the only one that hid a basket or not. So I don't know. It was just interesting.
Matt, what you got? You cooking a big old ham next week or what?
I don't know. I've never really. I mean, I guess since I was a kid, I never really celebrated Easter. I mean, I don't know. I'm not planning on doing anything, but I guess maybe I will start making a ham.
Matt, you got to work Friday?
A big old honey ham?
This Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Nice. Good stuff. Yeah.
Why? What's this Friday?
Good Friday.
Good Friday.
Oh, see.
What do you mean, what is this Friday?
See.
All right.
Yeah. No, we're
apparently Jesus isn't the only one behind a rock right now.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh man. No, we're heading to Matt and Annabelle's. It's actually Nora's birthday party, so got that going on. What a great ending for this week again.
Yeah.
Again, a huge shout out. Thank you to Troy Matz.
Thank you, Troy.
Yeah.
Awesome to have him on. Give us a follow. We're on everything: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Give us a follow. Also, leave us a review on Apple Podcast if you could. We really appreciate it. Until next time, everyone have a great Easter.
Yeah.
And we'll see you soon.
Yeah. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
See you guys.